bet my social security number that you will never see Gucci Mane or Pooh Shiesty standing next to each other again, on a picture again, never on a song again. That shit'll never happen.
Damn, man, that's crazy. So that's stamped.
The entire matter has been discussed on the streets for weeks, and now we have some answers. Gucci Mane recently spoke out about being cheated by Pooh Shiesty, his own artist, and no one anticipated this response. Dude, we're talking about posts being removed, money being returned, and a great deal of contempt that has rocked the hip-hop scene. However, we must first examine how we arrived at this stage before delving into Gucci's brutal answer. How did one of the most insulting betrayals in modern hip-hop history arise from a mentor-student relationship? Stay focused because there is much more to this scenario than you may realize. And Gucci's reply only served to further personalize it. Family, let's start with the fundamentals. For more than 20 years, Gucci Mane has been a legend in this game. This individual contributed to the development of the trap music sound that permeates modern hip-hop. Gucci has been finding and nurturing talent that goes on to dominate the charts, starting with his early mixtapes and continuing through the development of 1017 Records into a dominant force. Now Memphis, which has long been recognized for producing some of the roughest rappers in the industry, is where Pooh Shiesty, whose actual name is Lantrell Williams, was born. Pooh Shiesty was already making waves in Memphis streets before he ever set foot on a microphone. For all the wrong reasons. His name was ringing. However, his rap appeal would soon include that street cred. The young rapper from Memphis evoked early Gucci Mane with his unadulterated raw intensity. He wasn't attempting to look good with his bars. He was narrating true tales of actual events. And Gucci was particularly drawn to its genuineness. This is where things become fascinating though. When Gucci discovered Pooh Shiesty, he wasn't just any random child. In Memphis, he was already people were already discussing his potential. He wanted someone with the experience and industry connections to help him advance. In fact, the tale of how Gucci Mane found Pooh Shiesty is quite bizarre. Rumor has it that street contacts introduced Gucci to Pooh. Gucci was being told about this young Memphis guy with bars and credibility by people who were familiar with both the music game and the street game. Gucci realized right away that Pooh Shiesty was someone exceptional when he finally heard his music. In addition to her obvious talent, Pooh Shiesty possessed a genuine street viewpoint that is impossible to replicate. Pooh Shiesty stood out in a game full of created personas and industry plans. There was no protracted negotiation involved in the signing procedure. Gucci moves quickly when he wants someone to join his team. He made direct contact with Pooh Shiesty, and they had a direct discussion. Gucci recognized the opportunity. 1017 Records needed that Memphis energy, and Pooh Shiesty needed the platform. It was like winning the lotto for Pooh to sign with Gucci Mane. He started off as a local Memphis musician before joining one of the most prestigious hip-hop labels. He wasn't merely signed by Gucci, he mentored him, provided him with access to leading producers, and supported his career with the full weight of 1017. Their relationship appeared to be ideal at the beginning. The seasoned mentor was Gucci. The student who was hungry was Pooh Shiesty. Together, they were producing music that attracted attention from both the industry and the streets. No one could have foreseen the conclusion of this tale. Then life occurred. Pooh Shiesty's career was just beginning to take off when he was arrested in a federal case and sentenced to time in prison.
Popular rapper arrested. He's accused of shooting a security guard at a South Florida gentleman's club and will remain behind bars. A judge denied bond for 21-year-old Lantrell Williams.
And it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Rhode Island says you're wanted with Mr. Williams. You were arrested or pursuant to an arrest.
This would have been the end of the narrative for most artists. But most label owners aren't Gucci Mane. Gucci maintained Pooh Shiesty's reputation during his imprisonment. He would make sure that people didn't forget about the young rapper from Memphis by bringing him up in interviews and posting about him on social media. It is uncommon in the industry for a label CEO to provide this level of devotion, and it demonstrated how much Gucci thought Pooh Shiesty had potential. The hip-hop scene continued to change while Pooh Shiesty was incarcerated. The game evolved. New artists appeared, and fashions shifted. Gucci, however, ensured that Pooh Shiesty would still have a position in the industry when he returned home. The release of Pooh Shiesty was eagerly awaited. Fans, business experts, and other artists were all eager to see what he would accomplish with his second opportunity. Pooh Shiesty was responsible for walking through the door, which Gucci had left open. Gucci was among the first to publicly greet Pooh Shiesty upon his eventual release. It was an authentic Instagram post. Gucci said he was thrilled to resume making music with his artist and was proud of them. However, During Pooh Shiesty's absence, something had changed. Upon returning home, Pooh Shiesty began to gravitate toward Memphis ties, namely Yo Gotti and CMG, rather than re-establishing contact with Gucci in 1017. Given the significant history between Gucci Mane and Yo Gotti, here is where the story becomes difficult. We're discussing a long-standing feud that involves some highly private matters. There is more to the conflict between Gotti and Gucci than just music. It has to do with territory, respect, and some very private transgressions. Keisha Kura, Gucci's wife, is the source of their disagreement. Keisha Kura was romantically involved with Yo Gotti prior to becoming Mrs. Gucci Mane. This took place when Gucci was behind bars, and that caused a split that never repaired when he found out. Making fun of someone's woman when they are incarcerated is undoubtedly one of the limits that cannot be crossed in street culture. It was therefore more than simply Memphis loyalty when Pooh Shiesty began publicly expressing his admiration for Yo Gotti. It involved picking sides in a dispute that affected Gucci deeply on a personal level. It felt like a slap in the face to the man who had sustained his career every time. Pooh Shiesty made a post about CMG or appeared at Gotti events, but there was a deep connection to Memphis. Yo Gotti embodied hometown prosperity in a manner that Gucci, an Atlanta artist, could never do because Pooh Shiesty was from there, and his family lived there. However, allegiance in hip-hop isn't solely based on location. It all comes down to who supported you throughout your most trying times. Then the unanticipated incident occurred. There were rumors that Pooh Shiesty had robbed Gucci Mane, not only treated him disrespectfully or broke their business agreement, but also seized his money and jewels while brandishing a revolver. The streets claim that this occurred in Dallas during a studio session. According to the narrative, when things got hot, Pooh Shiesty and a few of his associates were in the studio with Gucci. The situation rapidly worsened. Whether it was due to money, respect, or the lingering animosity over Pooh Shiesty's ties to Memphis, although the specifics are still unclear. Several sources have verified that Gucci was compelled to surrender his wedding ring and watch being stolen by his own artist is the height of disrespect for someone like Gucci Mane, who has spent decades in the streets and industry. The fact that this wasn't just any random street robbery made it more worse. This was a well-thought-out action by someone Gucci had invested in, trusted, and treated like family. The financial loss was only one aspect of the treachery. The involvement of Pooh Shiesty's people demonstrated that this was not an impromptu choice. Since this was pre-arranged, Pooh Shiesty had been considering breaking Gucci's rules for some time before he actually did it. This must have seemed like the ultimate betrayal to Gucci. He was compensated for keeping Pooh Shiesty's name alive while he was incarcerated, and for welcoming him home with warm arms. Here's where Gucci demonstrated his long-term survival in this game. Rather than reacting violently right away or venting on social media, Gucci took deliberate actions that were more powerful than any diss track. He started by discreetly removing Pooh Shiesty's welcome home post. Removing that public support was a clear message in the era of social media, even though it might not seem like much. Gucci was formally pulling away from Pooh Shiesty and everything they had created together. However, it was a financial power maneuver. According to people familiar with the matter, as soon as Pooh Shiesty got home, Gucci took action to recover the money he had paid him. Gucci made sure to recoup anything he could, whether it was jewels, advance money, or other gifts. Because it struck Pooh Shiesty where it stung him most, his finances and reputation, this response was brilliant. By reclaiming the funds and withdrawing public backing, Gucci was effectively denying the existence of their relationship. The best thing about this approach is that it was business-oriented and lawful. Gucci responded neither forcefully nor emotionally, giving his adversaries no ammunition. He just stopped using the resources and carried on as if Pooh Shiesty had never existed. Losing Gucci's support was catastrophic for someone like Pooh Shiesty, who was still attempting to re-establish his career after serving time in prison. All of the resources, contacts, and credibility that came with being a 1017 artist vanished in an instant. The persistent hostility between Memphis and Atlanta and hip-hop was what this incident truly brought to light. Both cities boast proud musicians who do a great job representing their hometowns, as well as rich musical histories. It was more than simply distance that led Pooh Shiesty to choose Memphis over Atlanta. It has to do with belonging and authenticity. He was a hero in his hometown of Memphis. He was just another musician on Gucci's roster in Atlanta. As a Memphis legend who had established his own empire without sacrificing the character of his city, Yo Gotti embodied everything Pooh Shiesty aspired to be. CMG gave Pooh Shiesty the opportunity to represent Memphis hip-hop, something that 1017 was unable to provide. However, in hip-hop, loyalty is meant to be geographically independent. A link that should be greater than local pride is created when someone supports you, invests in you, and keeps your name alive during your toughest circumstances. Pooh Shiesty's priorities became evident when he chose to support Memphis over loyalty. He rejected the long-term partnership that had truly supported his career in favor of instant acceptance and adoration from his hometown. Gucci must have been especially hurt by this, since he had sincerely thought Pooh Shiesty had great potential. It was more than just business. Gucci had made an emotional investment in the success of the young rapper from Memphis because they saw something unique in him. The hip-hop industry was both shocked and sympathetic to the situation as it developed. On the one hand, it is unacceptable to loot your mentor. However, every artist recognizes the attraction of hometown loyalty. The other 1,017 artists must have been intently observing this event, wondering if their own allegiance would be put to the test. Gucci's answer was unambiguous. You will be severed from the family if you betray them. Veterans in the industry who had collaborated with Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane found themselves in a difficult situation. Although many of them were aware of both viewpoints, they were unable to openly condone Pooh Shiesty's actions. The hip-hop scene in Memphis was split. While some believed Pooh Shiesty had handled the matter improperly, others backed him for selecting his city. You don't have to be disrespectful to those who made it possible for you to represent your community. As expected, Atlanta artists supported Gucci Mane because of how close-knit the city's hip-hop community is. It would be disrespectful to all of them to disregard one of its legends. The incident also brought to light the persistent East Coast versus South hip-hop dynamics, where various regions have distinct standards of commerce, loyalty, and respect. In the end, it's likely that both artists suffered a loss. Pooh Shiesty lost a significant industry connection and mentor. Gucci Mane lost an artist in whom he had spent time and resources and truly believed. For Pooh Shiesty, the short-term benefit of being accepted in Memphis might not be worth the long-term consequences of severing ties with one of the most significant people in hip-hop. Due of Gucci Mane's extensive industry connections, having him as an adversary may limit future prospects. This incident served as a reminder to Gucci that loyalty cannot be built or purchased. Opportunities can be given, but you cannot win someone's gratitude or loyalty. The hip-hop community discovered that bad choices and conflicting allegiances may ruin even the best mentor-student relationships. It takes more than talent to succeed in this field. It calls for discernment, devotion, and the capacity to manage intricate relationships. This instance also demonstrated the intersection between commercial and personal connections in hip-hop. Pooh Shiesty was forced to take sides in the feud between Gucci Mane and Yo Gotti for Keisha Kerr, and he made a bad decision. All of this ultimately boils down to loyalty and respect. Gucci Mane had every reason to feel deceived, and his reaction was cool-headed and sensible. He made sure Pooh Shiesty understood the repercussions of his behavior, but he refrained from turning the situation into a violent one. The consequences of Pooh Shiesty's choice to defraud his mentor will last the entirety of his professional life. This kind of treachery is difficult to forget or forgive in a field where relationships and reputation are crucial. The tragedy lies in the fact that this whole incident could have been prevented. Pooh Shiesty might have respected his friendship with Gucci Mane and kept his ties to Memphis. Rather, he took the most insulting route imaginable. This circumstance indicates wasted potential, which is upsetting for fans of both performers. Because of bad choices and competing allegiances, the music they could have created together and the success they could have attained are all gone. However, loyalty is crucial in hip-hop, and treachery has repercussions. Gucci Mane's reaction demonstrated the reasons behind his prolonged survival and success in this game. He understands how to deal with disrespect without ruining himself. The message is apparent for the time being, yet the story goes on. Avoid biting the hand that feeds you because it may reclaim everything it has ever given you.